Hello everyone, welcome to another Starcraft 2 replay. It's going to be two replays actually. I'm going to be doing a couple TvT matches. It's going to be my Mass Air build versus a couple builds. The first one's going to be the one that scares me, and it's going to be implemented well. And the next match is going to be against something more unique that I've never seen before, and it's going to take a kind of unique response from myself. Yeah, so we are spawning on Steps of War for this first match. I am the blue Terran, Ketroc, in the bottom left-hand position. And in the top right, we have, oh boy, Pianissimo, Piani? And we got P, the red Terran, spawning in the top right-hand position. Go P. I did not even intend that, sorry. Alright. Anyway, so what's new? I found some interesting StarCraft 2 content on the internet recently, actually, in the name of State of the Game. If you Google that, it's actually a podcast, which is really interesting and educational, and it covers like the pro scene, what's going on there, and it's also pretty hilarious. Like I found myself listening to it on the iPod and had people on the street just like kind of looking at me all get away from me, crazy man, because I was just like randomly laughing at nothing. Yeah, it's like it's a podcast hosted by some fairly big name StarCraft 2 personalities like Day 9 and In Control and Idra, whatever his name is, and Artosis. And they have other guests on. I've heard Huck on it before. And yeah, honestly, I think the podcast is made by In Control. That guy's rants are hilarious. Like, it's funny to laugh at them just because he's like raging so hard, and at the same time you can laugh with them because he's a pretty witty guy to begin with. He was actually just talking in his last podcast about how he can rant at anything, and he just threw out like flip-flops as an example. It's one of the other hosts of the show kind of calls him on and puts him on the spot. It's like, alright, everyone be quiet, let's hear him rant about flip-flops. And without taking a breath, In Control goes off for like 5 minutes about how much he hates flip-flops. Starts talking about, you know, the guy in front of him in class, so, like, he can't write his test because the guy in front of him is like picking like the belly hair lint up between his toes and like sniffing his fingers, or like the fat girls who make like the smacking sounds of their flip-flops when they're walking around. Oh, it's good stuff. And later in the podcast, he's talking about how he's like praying to God that his favorite author will finish his book series, and then, you know, when he's done his prayer, he like looks up to the heavens and kind of threatens God by giving him the stink eye, or stink eye. Is that right? Give me the crooked eye. Stink eye sounds like it's something to be like on your ass eye, not your face eye. Man, that's the thing with like not having a full-time job anymore, like working from home like I do. Just that little bit less social contact, you lose the ability to speak. I swear my vocabulary is going downhill of late. I met this girl about a month ago or so. She was from Norway. English is like her fourth language, and her English was better than mine. Like, I don't even know if I can claim I can speak English anymore. I'm gonna just say it's my second language, and I just won't have a first language. I definitely had the beer goggles effect with her, though, but not in the way you think. I actually learned that there's a different kind of beer goggles, because when I saw her afterwards, when I was sober, she was actually hotter than I remembered. It's too bad, because she'd been in Canada for like 2 years, and I happened to meet her like 3 days before she was flying back to Norway. Oh well. What else? Oh, Sahara Drac. He's one of my more favorite commentators on YouTube. You can look him up. Yeah, he just did a commentary where he did the entire commentary using the voice of Tychus Finley. Not like a, you know, like a 1-minute impersonation. He did like a full like 15-minute commentary talking as Tychus. So it's pretty funny. He's like analyzing the match at the same time, talking about how he like eats an entire carton of eggs every morning, including the carton to give him the biggest muscles in space, and all this like nonsense like that. I think he's an acquired taste, whether you find Sahara Drac funny or not, because I see he gets like a lot of bad comments in his channels, but I think he's hilarious. Like, he did a commentary where the entire time he was just eating grape nuts, and rather than talking about the game, he was just talking about how disgusting the grape nuts are tasted. I thought it was like one of the greatest things I've ever seen, but other people did not appreciate it as much. Yeah, I don't know why I do this. I just reached 1,000 subscribers and I start like sending you guys off to other people. I like the sort of guy who would like whore out his own wife, I guess. Though I do have 1,000 subscribers, so if I had 1,000 wives, it'd probably be a nice relief to actually whore out a few of them for a while. Can you imagine that? Like, every day of the month, you'd at least have like a few dozen wives PMSing. Actually, that's not true. Maybe all their cycles would get in sync, and then, oh man, 1,000 PMSing wives a month once. All right, let's stop that train of thought. That's just getting a little bit scary. And yeah, other than that, I've just been watching some GSL matches. I haven't really been. That's not good. He's blocking his own gas here. Yeah, I haven't really been watching the pro team or Starcraft too much, so I'm just starting to get into that now. But recent GSL is kind of interesting. A lot of like all-in cheese is going on from the Koreans. It's kind of funny. They'll just send out a bunch of SCVs and Marines, then when they die, they act like it's like the most epic loss of their life. So they're just doing some Banshee harass here. Again, he was able to get his expansion down and get air turrets up before my Banshees even arrived, so wasn't able to do much damage. I'm going to assume that he has air turrets as main base, even though I haven't scouted it yet. Figure he's got expansion, he'll have it here too. So at this point, I'm just harassing whatever I can. Go after weak buildings, things like tech labs, reactors, supply depots. Yeah, so okay, just confirm that that mineral line's not available to me. And yeah, sorry, I guess I babbled too long. I kind of missed a good portion of this match. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so he's able to expand, and he's going for heavy Marine mix. And this is what scares me a lot, these heavy Marine mixes, and if he gets the economy to support it. So just doing whatever damage I can. Okay, anytime you see stim, you better run. Run. And I'm on hold position here, thinking I can outrange them. Nope. I mean, you can outrange them, I just had the wrong positioning there. I was still within the range of the Marines. So that was a bit of a fail there on my part, but this is what you gotta do with Banshees. I hadn't even seen a starport yet, so I am just pumping mass Banshees at this point. I'm not actually getting any Vikings as of yet. And you gotta do a lot of harassment, because obviously Stim Marines are going to be a lot of trouble for you. Stim Marines can take down Banshees quite well, and they'll be able to push you before you get battlecruisers. So the idea is to shut down his expansion attempts, which I did not do well at all, and to harass anything and everything you can. Try to keep him turtled in, try to force him to build a lot of air turrets. More or less what he's doing is pretty good counter to what I'm doing. So you gotta do any damage you can to try to negate his advantage. Sending out a Marine just kind of outside of his base. This will give me some warning, so if I see that he's pushing out with his force, I can come intercept it with my Banshees. Just see if I can force some scans, see if I can do some damage, anything I can do to force, just to dwindle his numbers on his way to my base. The last thing you want to have is like get your first warning when he's outside, right at the front of your base with like siege tanks set up already. So he is setting up his third, and I'm coming in with my next little harassment force here. Taking out one of his gases. Again, just doing whatever I can. And we got 5 Banshees together now. I guess I'll speed it up a touch. Now, Banshees versus Marines work quite well. You can just kind of abuse your range advantage and kite them. Just kind of shoot, move back, shoot, move back. That will only work up until the point where he got stim. So you notice when he got stim earlier in the match, that's when he actually slaughtered my Banshees. But even with stim, you can still abuse terrain like this. Anywhere there's a ledge, you can just kind of hang up by the ledge, and that's like your safety zone, somewhere to fall back to. And this is unfortunate. He's actually able to get up his expansion here. I didn't stay on top of that. Maybe as well as having a Marine out front, maybe keep a Marine by his next expansion base. And this is really what you gotta stay on top of. Any sort of harassment is nice, but you want to be taking out his ability to expand. Try to keep his economy down, and it'll prevent him from being able to make his big push. So it looks like he's falling back to his missile turret, so that little attempted push isn't going to work out. But I do find a nice little target here. I got a sensor tower, got a couple siege tanks left alone. You can take those out. Checking his third just now. Now I know it exists. Not good. See the missile turrets. Try to pick on the command center, but here comes some stim marines. Get the heck out of there. Not good. Looks like I lost 2 or 3 banshees. 2 probably. Definitely worth that push. I did more damage than he did to me, but yeah, having seen that he got his third base up, I'm not happy about that at all. Do have my own third on the way. And just clearing out the destructible rocks to get to it. And looks like we got some medevacs, some marines, couple Vikings. Obviously you want to stay ahead in the Viking count. That's why I've just started to get Vikings now, because I knew he had a starport at this point. But I still want to keep it a heavy Banshee base, because I know I'm against heavy Marines for now. Once I got the economy for it, though, you do want to switch to battle cruisers as they perform better versus Marines, especially when they got stim. Tried to take out the same refinery again, wasn't able to do so. And yeah, it looks like a push coming in on my base now. Possibly. Oh, moving back. Looks like P is getting ready to take the 4th base here. Just kind of clearing out the area. And oh, I know you guys like production tab. Sorry about that. Yes, looks like he has a command center just got built. Where is it? Here it is. There we go. He's floating over. Same time I'm taking my third. I wasn't sure where his push was, so I kind of moved it over here just so I have somewhere to protect my command center. Oh, and such unfortunate timing. Almost caught that command center. Wow, that could have made a big difference this game. And he scanned my hidden 4th, so I'm getting the heck out of here, but wow, he went through those rocks fast. Goodbye. So his 4th makes it up, mine does not. And just starting my battlecruiser production now. Just trying to pick off the medevacs. So I guess I should slow down this battle. You know what? I didn't commentate that at all. Let's just back up and watch that again. We'll pretend it never happened. Alright, now he's putting pressure on my front line, and this is why you want to be able to intercept his pushes with Banshees before they get here. Just so you can do a little bit of damage on the way in. So I wasn't quite sure how this battle would work out. As it turns out, he has the numbers to defeat me. And it looks like my Banshees are getting hit rather than my battlecruiser tanking. I am able to just keep my battlecruiser alive though, with solid 40 hit points. And pulling some SCVs to repair that. At the same time moving out a handful of Vikings, see if I can snipe his medevacs. But he was smart and kept the medevacs behind the Marines. Now it's just a fortress and a battlecruiser to more or less keep this alive. 2 more battlecruisers coming out. Alright, so shut down his push. That's pretty close, pretty hairy, and I lost a lot of units, but at the same time, I dig him down. With no high ground sight, these tanks are not a threat to my refinery. And that's going to be it for my Banshees. Why did I even bother landing there? I just took a hit on my Viking for no reason. And floating out to take a fourth again. Wow, that's a lot of mules. Let's start out his income. 2,900. Wow. Cool. Obviously, a lot of that is temporary because of these mules, but still nice. Alright, so now I've caught up in bases, but obviously he's been economically ahead for most of this game. And here comes his push on my base. And I'm moving over with, looks like, 4 battle cruisers. Let me take note of this 25-minute mark, because I'm going to want to rewind here and at the end of the game talk about this battle a little bit. So, I actually probably should have fought with my fortress, although my fortress is getting some shots in here. Oh, repair! What are you doing, SCVs? Oh, you stupid SCVs. Oh, I totally could have held that against just Marines. Marines cannot take down a fortress. I mean, the tanks are added damage, but still, with repair, I should have been fine. So, I only survived with 3 Vikings. I end sending them out. I'm using that little like shift-click thing to remove Vikings from my control group that I showed on my little thumbs-up fact. And that way, they each 3 of them have their own separate commands. They're each going to go to these 3 spots, each going to land, and each going to hold position. And that way, even though he has a fortress here, I'm going to be able to shut down all this mining. And hold position's key. You don't want to get dragged into this planetary fortress. So at least I've temporarily shut down his fourth. Pulling back though, time for some mass repairing action here. Keep this stuff alive, guys. Yep. Oh, yep. Not good. So at that point at GG, looks like we both had, well, no, he had a lot of minerals. Wow, he wasn't spending well. But he was battling well and expanding well, so. I can't blame him too much for stockpiling, because he did have a really sick economy. It'd be hard to spend all that money. Although, 6,000 over 3,000 is pretty terrible. Still good enough to kill me, but pretty terrible. Anyways, let's go back to that 25-minute mark. Close enough. Something I want to talk about, which I've never mentioned before in these sort of battles. Battle cruisers versus Marines, or Thors for that matter. Notice I have 2-1 upgrades. I have the double armories, but obviously when you're spending tons of gas on battle cruisers, you gotta kind of pick and choose your, like unless you're stockpiling, it's hard sometimes to create battle cruisers and to get these upgrades, and you kind of have to choose between them. And notice I went 2 attack and 1 armor. That is very, very, very wrong to do versus Terran. Armor is incredibly more important than attack. I mean, the attack here, okay, yeah, it adds +1 damage, and with the weapon speed like that, it's actually like 4 DPS per second for every battle cruiser. So, you know, if you got 5 battle cruisers, that's like 20 DPS per second extra, which is nice. But the armor is so much more important. Because think of all these Marines that are attacking, and their wickedly high attack rate because of their stim packs. And plus the armor makes a gigantic difference. Like, think, he's doing 7 damage per attack. I have 4 armor, so he's doing 3 damage per attack. If I had 1 more armor, that changes it from 3 down to 2. That means he's doing 50% more damage now than if I had that extra 1 armor. So that's an insane amount of DPS that would have been cut back. And think if he didn't have the +1, or if I was going from +2 to +3, that would change his attack from 2 damage per attack down to 1 damage per attack. That's half damage. That's basically like doubling the hit points on your battle cruisers. And Thors are the same way, as they have a very low damage per attack as well, and a very high attack rate. TvTs, you gotta prioritize armor over attack. Just have to. And I think this battle could have been a completely different story if I had the 2 armor rather than the 1 armor. All these stim Marines. Just wait till they stim here. You can see their attack rate. Yeah, more than 1 attack per second. So yeah, knock 50% off their attack, or 33% off their attack damage, and these battle cruisers probably would have mowed right through them. Or if not, it would have at least been close enough that he wouldn't have been able to follow up with just destroying my entire base. So it's something to note. So you want the Banshees early game, harass the his base as much as possible, kite the Marines, abuse the terrain ledges like this, and you'll do quite well up until the point where he has stim in the open field. And then late game, you want your high armor battlecruisers, and they should perform well versus both Marines and Thors. Vikings will always do decently versus battlecruisers, but they're not the hardest counter either, so battlecruisers do well versus everything. Anyways, that's about all I wanted to talk about for this match. This is what scares me, the Marine central build and the ability to get extra bases. If you can't shut that down, you're just basically going to lose, because Marines beat Banshees when it comes down to it. You got to abuse the mobility and the map control early on. If you don't do that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I did promise there's going to be 2 TvT matches. Let's move right into the next one. Alright, so here we are on Delta Quadrant. I am the Red Terran Ketroc in the bottom right-hand position, and cross-map we have Virgin Snow, the Blue Terran. Virgin Snow. Is that like a first-time cokehead sort of thing? I bet that has some sort of drug reference to it. Or it could just be like a Christmas thing, who knows. Alright, so let's speed it up, and once again I'm going to be going for my Mass Air build. This is kind of a difficult map for it, just because you're often spawning very close to your opponents. Like, if I spawned here, his natural expansion could be just right here, which is very short walk distance. And as I said before, when he pushes out, you want to be able to intercept it and harass him as he's moving towards your base. And if that distance between your bases is short, so you don't get that opportunity. Luckily enough, though, we are cross-map, which helps me quite a bit. Not a whole lot to talk about. Once your barracks is complete, there's 3 things I like to get, and those are, well, 4 things actually. I like to get my orbital command, wall off with another supply depot, get another gas, and get my first Marine. Now the order you do those things in should be dependent on what you see. First of all, you don't need the extra supply this quickly. So what I do is, if he is already scouting me, he's already gotten inside my base, I leave the supply depot for last. But in this case, where he hasn't scouted me yet, I get the orbital and supply depot immediately. Then I get my gas, then I get my Marine. Or the other way around, whatever. But the main key is the supply depot. Wall off if he hasn't scouted you yet, just to shut down his recon. If he's already scouted you, no rush on getting the supply depot. If you look at my supply, I still got, you know, 3 more SCVs I can make before I have to have a supply depot complete. And here comes his first scout. And he is denied entrance. Maybe, maybe, maybe. No, 9 hit points left. 2 more shots needed. I do like to scout in a direction based on when my opponent arrives. I'm like, he arrived really late, so he probably scouted me last, which means he must have been either spawned in the top right and went counterclockwise, or he spawned in the bottom left and went clockwise. And usually just kind of thinking that way based on the timing of the scout works. In this case, nope. I just scouted the longest route possible and didn't even find him. And I figured at this point it'd be too late for me to get up his ramp, which looks like I'm correct, so I'm just going to send this SCV home, and I guess I'll use the scan later on to see what he's up to. Am I still in the dark at this point? Yeah, I'm still in the dark. I know where he's located, but I have no idea what he's up to. Setting a bunker just in case it's some sort of like marine rush, which you will see often enough. I think now my first Banshee's out. Yeah, now I'm scouting them. And I do see... not a whole lot. I see a factory with a tech lab and a barracks with nothing on it. So I'm thinking maybe it's some sort of tank bio push. Because if he was going Banshees, and he's going to swap with this factory, normally you'd see the starport near the factory, so it'd be a quick swap. So I'm thinking, okay, he's probably not going starport, so it's got to be something involving factory and Marines. So I do find a little weakness here in his missile turret placement, but now I've seen his Thor, and this is what makes this game unique. 7 minutes into the game, he already had a Thor out. So I'm like, what the heck do I do? Because normally, my response, as soon as he gets Thors, I switch from Banshees to battle cruisers. But I'm like, I don't even have a second base yet. Can I really switch to battle cruisers on one base? I'm like, that just seems wrong. But then I'm like, well, building Thors on one base seems wrong too, so I don't see why I can't build battle cruisers on one base. I mean, if we're still doing equal economy and I'm still getting the unit that countered his, then really I don't see an argument on why battle cruisers on one base is a mistake. So I am actually going to throw down the any moment now. Alright, I preempted myself a little bit, but any moment now I'm going to be throwing down a fusion core, and I'm going to be switching it up to battle cruisers. I guess I just want to get a few more Banshees first, just so I can do some harassment, see if I can avoid the Thors. That's one thing I always forget about. When I'm doing like my Mass Raven build, I'm like, oh, I can never expand these places because there's destructible debris, or debris. I like to put the right emphasis on the right syllable. But when I'm doing Mass Air with Banshees, it's very easy to take out this destructible debris. I always like avoid those bases when it's just a simple task to take it out. Especially as my army's so mobile, I can just poke in, knock at his base, poke back, take out the debris, poke back in. I saw him push out to the middle. He took the Zelnaga tower there, if you saw on the mini-map. So I thought it was actually a push coming in, so I tried to intercept him with Cloak Banshees, but yeah, it was just a feint. Gonna test out his front line a little bit, see what we're up to here, and I see Marines and Thors, so it looks like a pretty anti-air build to start with. Did not know about the tanks, so I felt pretty comfortable here. And there's my fusion core getting down Yamato first and pumping out one battlecruiser. I find as long as I fight with my bunker, or if I get planetary out here, if I fight with my planetary, it should be fine versus just Marines and Thors. Like even just having one or two battlecruisers, as long as I have SCVs in the neighborhood to repair and a fortress to sit near, I think that's safe enough. And then obviously once I've squashed his anti-air, these tanks will not be a problem any longer. So it looks like I am ahead economically at least. Virgin Snow is taking his second base now. At the same time, I'm setting up my third to float out. And taking back the Zelnaga. Zelnaga, when you cross map on Delta Quadrant, it's huge. I mean, you're going to see basically every push that comes in, unless he like sneaks around the long way. I don't know what I was thinking with this bunker placement. I was worried about him trying to push up this ramp, so I was thinking, well, let's get the concave with my fortress and the bunker here, but this bunker placement just never going to attack anything ever. It would have made a whole lot more sense to have it up over here. Even just poking out a little bit, it's still a better placement. So Virgin Snow is taking his third now. And it looks like he's going to be making a little push here. Oh, he does have Vikings on the field. That I did not know about. I did not have any anti-Viking, which of course is more Vikings. Like I always say with this build, you want more Vikings than your opponent. Battlecruisers do kill Vikings cost for cost. I mean, even though Vikings are good anti-air, battlecruisers still do better if you're in equal cost armies. But that's only if the Vikings are not microed. Vikings can kite battlecruisers, abuse the range of the Vikings and the slow movement speed of the battlecruisers, and they can just kind of keep falling back and do a lot of damage. So that's why you always need the Viking count. Even if you got a lot of battlecruisers, you still need the Viking count to manage. And here comes the push. I did notice the Vikings, so I decided to start throwing down some missile turrets just to keep him from overrunning my air. Because, yeah, if he kills the battlecruisers, he can just, like, sit over my base, kill the Banshees as well. So, luckily he's not microing his Vikings. However, I'm so late on the Yamatos. You know what happened? I kept pressing T to Yamato. I'm like, Yamato, Yamato, Yamato. Why aren't you Yamatoing? It's like, wait a minute. T's not the hotkey for Yamato. So, right near the end of the battle, I finally Yamatoed those Thors. I love Thors for Yamato. It's one of the very few targets where you get the full 300 damage. There's not many targets that actually take 300 damage. I mean, Yamatoing Vikings are nice, but they're only 125 hit points. That's 175 hit points of damage wasted. And it looks like he was only able to retreat with just his one siege tank. So I did squash that push. Same time setting up my 4th. And, oh, he did get my planetary. I wasn't repairing it, unfortunately. But I had 2 command centers going up, one to take this high yield and one to take this high yield. And instead, I just moved it over here. That was actually a mistake, small mistake, because he knew that I cleared this debris, and he did not know that I cleared this debris. So he's going to be keeping an eye on this space for sure. So what I actually should have done is moved one command center to replace the dead fortress here, and move the other command center over here. And he'd still probably be scouting this as my 4th location. Turns out this is okay, because I just squashed his attack force. He doesn't really have the ability to snipe this command center. Notice on the minimap, like these bottom right 5 bases are basically mine. And then he's got his 3 up top. And what you can do is with one Marine scouting these 4 bases in the top right, and one Marine scouting these 4 bases in the bottom left, you can cover basically all his expansion bases with just 2 Marines on patrol. Very easy way to find out when he's going to expand next. So again, another forest, a lot of Vikings out. I'm just starting my Viking production now, so I've only got my first batch of like 5. So, my combination of Vikings and battlecruisers allowed me to win that battle, even though he had a slightly better Viking count. And obviously repairing between battles, especially on these any sort of mech heavy build, like air ground mech or air mech, it's always nice to get the repair in. It's a nice cost efficient way of keeping your army at its peak. Those misrallied? That doesn't seem right. Yeah, okay, they're pulling back. Bring up the production tab. Well, let's bring up the units tab first, see what the Viking count's like. We're pretty even. He's got a few more Vikings, but that's okay. As long as I'm in the neighborhood, I should do fine with my battlecruisers. Another big battle. 3 PDDs thrown down. Wow, that's a lot of damage negated. So I'm actually going to have to pull back, especially with my battlecruisers down. I had nothing to fight the Marines with, so I got to pull back and fight with my fortress. Whoops. See some Gosu micro here. Yeah, blown away my own battlecruiser. Took 300 hit points off of it. pushing back yet another push on my base. The nice thing was I was able to intercept them, so those PDDs at least weren't near my natural. If you set those PDDs at my natural expansion, it would have been a lot tougher to actually hold my natural. That's good. Stuffed another push, and now I can pull back for repairs once more. And at the same time floating out my 5th base to take this high yield. A lot of missile turrets. I guess I feinted him into thinking I was pushing right on his base, so he put some emergency air turrets. But I'm more or less in the starve game now. I know he hasn't taken a 4th just because of my Marines. In fact, if we back up there, I think I just shut down a 4th, didn't I? Yeah, there we go. Here's his first 4th attempt, and just this one Marine. Not only does it scout it, but I'm actually going to force the cancel and kill an SCV, so that's like more than 100 damage right there, 100 minerals worth of damage. And having seen landed Vikings here, I can basically assume that he's just landing them to kill this debris, and he'll be making this his 4th base. So yeah, knowing that I have 5 bases, and knowing, like, having an eye on the map to the point where I know he hasn't taken his 4th, I have no interest in killing him. I'm just like, I'm just going to starve this guy out. Yeah, like I said, let's take out this, any attempts at taking over 4th. Just sending out 1 Viking over here just to double check, make sure there's nothing there. And it's BC time! A lot of enemy Vikings. Wow, that was a little misclick, I think. Let's move right in front of the battlecruisers. One definite advantage there is his Vikings are 2-0, my Vikings are 3-3. Which is actually an insane advantage. I mean, that's the only, like, the one good advantage my unit compositions have over like the pros of the game is that you know, they build a little bit of everything. The fact that I just go, you know, straight bio, nothing but like Marines, Marauders, Ghosts, Medevacs, or straight air like this, is my upgrades are super efficient. I can just go double upgrading and they'll affect basically every unit I have on the field. And yeah, Virgin Snow just scouted the middle here, and seeing as that he hasn't even set up a 4th yet, and that I have a 189 supply army, he rightly quits the game. Yeah, army tab 190 over 111. I'm in pretty good shape, I gotta say. Yeah, so there you have it. I found this an interesting game as I've never faced a fast Thor like that before. So yeah, I went 1 base battlecruiser and it kind of worked out. It seems ridiculously stupid, but if he's only on 1 base and he's just making Thors, you still got the same economy, you still got the good counter unit to it. So 1 base battlecruiser is stupid, but in this scenario, I don't see anything wrong with doing it. And with that, well, I should just pump Marines or something on this build. It's not quite as bad as Ravens, but at the same time I am pulling up minerals. Anyways, with that said, that's the end of this little TvT set. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks, everyone.
Welcome to Anger Management Volume 1. Repeat after me. Anger does not dictate my life.
Anger does not dictate my life.
Anger does not dictate my life.
You just said that, you stupid.
Alright, for today's thumbs up fact of the day, I'm doing a little bit of theory crafting on doing a nice little tweak to my fast expand build order. This is very specific to Zerg and kind of map specific as well. It's the maps where you find out where he is early on. So like Steps of Wars on Naga Caverns, because you know, because it's a 2-player map, you know where he is, or like Metalopolis or Lost Temple, where you can kind of find out if he's in the close air position, as you'll often fly over an Overlord and you'll scout the corner with an SCV here. And if not, I always go to the closest base to scout. So as long as he's not cross map, I'll run into him. And I always send out the SCV that completes the supply depot. And I found just watching some replays of Zerg, it's terrible for them if you can slow down their hatchery at their expansion. So what I'm going to do is, like, normally this SCV would either head out to the 12 o'clock if I scout the Overlord, or it's head to this space and poke in here. And rather than just kind of running around in circles, I want to set up an engineering bay block. Obviously this is just assisting against a real opponent. I'm just kind of messing around with it. Normally I'd poke in, make sure he's here before I do this. And also check his spawning pool, make sure it's not like a 6 pool or something ridiculous like that. And this is the adjustment I'm going to do. I'm going to go engineering bay block before command center. As for microing this, there's a nice little trick you can do. Just queue up your SCV to hotkey back to your mineral patch. I guess you should probably queue them up to come back to this mineral patch. And then just hotkey your engineering bay. And what you do is just as you're following it, you watch the timer here, and as soon as it hits 34, press the T button. And T means halt, which will mean your SCV will stop building this engineering bay, and it'll go on to its next command, which is to go back home and start mining. And engineering bay is nice for blocking because it has a lot of hit points, 800, and it builds very quickly, like 35 seconds. So it's a quick way to get up a lot of hit points blocking his hatchery. And now we're just going to pay attention to the timings. I notice my command center goes down about 25 seconds late. I complete my wall off, like I get my barracks and engineering bay going about 20 seconds late, and my planetary fortress finishes about 20 seconds late. So this could be dangerous. Obviously everything's coming up later. Early lings might be able to pick off the SCV making this command center. So where it will give him an economic hit, it's also like you're forcing him to go pool first, and you're making yourself more susceptible to early pool builds. So you're kind of like forcing him to go a build that could kill you. However, at the same time, if he's sending out early Zerglings, will he actually go straight for your base, or will he try to pick away at this engineering bay? You know, this engineering bay may almost act as like a defense for you, as he may not even come to your base until he's taken it out. And this is going to be really efficient, even if he's not going hatchery first, even if he's like going like, you know, like gas pool then hatchery. I mean, this is still going to slow down his hatchery. Even he's going to have to like get like a bunch of Zerglings, and he's going to have to attack this for a while to kill 800 hit points. And of course, the key to not completing it is you can, right before he kills it, you can cancel it, and you can get back 75% of the money you put into it. So yeah, that's my little tweak. I haven't tried it in a ladder match yet. I'm still going to use it the first opportunity I get, which is going to have to be a Zerg on Lost Temple, Metalopolis, Zelnaga Caverns, or Steps of War. And yeah, I'll probably post a VOD of that once I do it, as long as it doesn't... Well, yeah, I'll post a VOD of it, as long as it's not a terrible game. Alright, with that, that's my thumbs up fact of the game. Thank you everyone, and goodbye for now.